Science should illuminate the world, but in early 20th century Germany, it was twisted into a tool of division and destruction. The Nazi Party, obsessed with racial purity, corrupted science to justify their hierarchy of human worth, placing Aryans above all and labelling others, especially Jews, as subhuman. This was not true science. It was political dogma masquerading as fact. Universities and research centres were purged of dissenters, replaced by those eager to serve the regime's agenda. Eugenics, once fringe, became state policy, justifying forced sterilizations and ultimately genocide. The medical profession's ethical foundation collapsed. Doctors became agents of harm, not healing. Concentration camps became laboratories for horrific experiments far from public scrutiny. The pursuit of knowledge was warped into a quest for data extracted through torture. Dehumanization allowed physicians to inflict unimaginable pain without remorse. Many were not just following orders, they were true believers in a monstrous cause. The belief in an Aryan master race provided a pseudo-scientific cover for atrocities. Suffering became irrelevant, lives were expendable. This perversion of science set the stage for some of the darkest chapters in medical history. The consequences were catastrophic, with medicine weaponized against humanity itself. This is the grim prelude to the horrors that followed. Among the architects of these horrors, Josef Mengele stands out, a doctor who became the angel of death at Auschwitz. With a flick of his wrist, he decided who lived and who died on the selection ramp. Mengele wielded near absolute power, using the camp as his personal laboratory. Obsessed with twins and heredity, he saw prisoners as specimens for his twisted research. His experiments, injecting diseases, performing surgeries without anesthesia and targeting children, were sanctioned by top German institutes. The Roma and Sinti, especially children, suffered his cruelest attentions. Mengele's work was not science but depravity cloaked in medical language. He escaped justice, living out his days in South America, never answering for his crimes. Mengele remains a chilling symbol of science without conscience. His story warns us how authority and ideology can turn healers into instruments of terror. It is a cautionary tale of what happens when humanity is stripped away in service of a monstrous idea. Mengele's most infamous experiments targeted twins, whom he believed held the key to engineering a master race. Twins were separated from the masses, housed in special barracks, and subjected to systematic torture disguised as research. Mengele measured, injected and infected them, often causing agony and death. He attempted to change eye color by injecting chemicals, leaving children blind and in pain. The control in his experiments meant one twin might be spared, until the other died, then both were autopsied. Empathy was absent, twins were mere specimens. Survivors like Eva Moses Kaur dedicated their lives to sharing these horrors. The trauma was both physical and psychological, lasting a lifetime. Their stories expose Mengele's work as a monstrous crime, not science. The resilience of survivors stands as a testament to the human spirit. These accounts ensure the world remembers the true nature of these atrocities. The quest for knowledge became a justification for torture, a lesson never to be forgotten. At Dachau, doctors pursued brutal research into human endurance to cold, commissioned by the Luftwaffe. Prisoners, not volunteers, were submerged in ice water, their suffering meticulously recorded as they died or neared death. Rewarming methods were equally cruel. Sun lamps that burned skin, forced body contact, all in the name of science. Reports described agony with clinical detachment, revealing utter disregard for life. The experiments produced little useful data. Their true failure was moral. Doctors became torturers, seeing prisoners as expendable subjects. Dachau's legacy is a warning. Even rational goals can justify cruelty when humanity is denied. The line between research and atrocity was obliterated. The Nazi obsession with racial purity led to mass sterilization experiments in camps like Auschwitz and Ravensbrück. Doctors like Karl Klauberg injected caustic chemicals into women's bodies, causing agony and permanent damage. Horst Schumann used X-rays to sterilize men and women, leaving them with burns, infections and lifelong pain. These procedures were performed without consent or anesthesia, turning medicine into a tool of violence. Victims suffered not only physically, but were robbed of their futures and identities. The trauma endured was profound and lasting. These experiments exemplify how medicine can be weaponized to destroy rather than heal. The legacy is one of pain, loss, and a stark warning against the abuse of medical power. To grasp the true horror, we must hear the voices of survivors. Eva Moses Kor recalled the terror of arrival at Auschwitz and the loss of her mother in an instant. She described the cycle of blood drawings, mysterious injections, and the constant threat of death. If she died, her twin would be killed for comparative autopsy, life and death intertwined by Mengeler's cruelty. Survivors of Dachau's hypothermia experiments spoke of unbearable pain and doctors' cold indifference. Victims were fully aware, forced to participate in their own suffering. Nazi records written with chilling precision corroborate these accounts. Reports noted the moment a heart stopped or screams faded, devoid of empathy. Placing these documents beside survivor testimonies reveals the full depravity of the system. Human life was reduced to data points, suffering to statistics. These stories are vital evidence and a call to remember. The reality of scientifically sanctioned torture must never be forgotten. After the war, the world confronted Nazi medical crimes at the doctor's trial in Nuremberg. 23 physicians were charged with war crimes and crimes against humanity. Evidence included Nazi records, reports, and survivors' harrowing testimonies. Survivors faced their tormentors, ensuring the world heard the truth. The accused claimed they were following orders or compared their work to Allied research. Defenses the tribunal rejected. Many showed no remorse, revealing deep moral corruption. 16 were found guilty, 7 were sentenced to death. The trial sent a clear message: medicine's principles and human rights cannot be cast aside, even in war. This reckoning laid the groundwork for a revolution in medical ethics. The world resolved that such crimes would never be repeated. The doctor's trial exposed the need for universal ethical standards in human experimentation. The Nuremberg Code, issued in 1947, became the foundation of modern medical ethics. Its first principle, voluntary, informed consent, is absolutely essential. This shifted power to the individual, ensuring no one could be forced into experiments. The Code demanded experiments minimize suffering and risk, and placed responsibility on the researcher. It inspired global ethical guidelines and regulations. Every medical study today is shaped by these principles. The Nuremberg Code stands as a permanent legacy and solemn promise to protect human rights in science. The Nazi experiments are a chilling reminder of what happens when science loses its moral compass. The perpetrators were not monsters, but professionals who chose ideology over humanity. The lesson endures. Ethical boundaries in science are always necessary. In an age of rapid advancement, the temptation to sacrifice dignity for progress remains. The Nuremberg Code is a living covenant, honored every time consent is obtained or ethics are reviewed. Remembering these horrors is essential to prevent their repetition. The story is a charge to future generations. Let knowledge always serve humanity, guided by compassion and respect for life.